Hey everyone. So yes, this is another Dustin Nunn video on the internet. And yes, I know that Dustin Nunn is essentially low-hanging fruit. And yes, I know it is a dead topic at this point. But seeing as how I haven't actually made a serious video on Dustin Nunn in well over a year, I believe it's been like a year and a half actually, since like September, October 2020, which that video, oddly enough, blew up a lot. It's like, I think it's got over like 1,000 views now, which is, I know really doesn't really mean shit in the grand scheme of things here on this site, but I mean, to a small user like me, that's a lot. Aside from the very short comedic video that I made the other day where I said that Dustin Nunn likes, twinks with fat cocks or whatever I said. Just to take the piss because there's a bunch of memes going around and Dustin Nunn is poking the hornet's nest once again. I decided to make a response video to this video, which is the most recent on his channel, which is called "It's Not Right to Tell People Like Me on the Internet to Get a Job, and Here's Why." And I bet this is going to be just absolutely golden. And like I said, yes, I know all the reasons that I should just leave this topic alone and so on and so forth, but you know what? I like doing these videos, they're fun, it's my channel, I can do what I damn well please, so. And like I said, I haven't made an actual serious video response to Dustin Nunn in well over a year, haven't even really thought about the guy at all. You know, I wasn't even going to, but the guy has brought it on himself once again. And I almost feel like, you know, it's necessary every once in a while to make responses like these because guys like this are not going to be told otherwise from anyone else. You know, Dustin Nunn is a case of his parents telling him that he's super special, you know, every day, you know, since he was a kid, and therefore he thinks he's super special and he thinks his opinions mean something and are fact. So, you know, kind of that reason why I sometimes do these responses every once in a while. But yeah, so like I said, I guess he's gonna get into why it's not right, you know, to for people on the internet to tell him to get a job and whatnot. This should be just an absolute gold mine. And like always, I've got, you know, a refreshment with me. I don't need any more caffeine right now, but I'm gonna have more anyways because I don't fear death, you know, and because I'm probably kind of an idiot, but kind of a shame. It's hard to find this particular kind because I like a complete side tangent, but I actually really like the original Monster flavor, and I like getting, you know, the zero sugar one. But it's hard to find this one now. All I can find is like the white cans, and I don't particularly care for those. Those taste kind of nasty. But anyways. Let's get into this. Let me make sure it's turned up so you guys can hear it, because the sound on this TV is not always the greatest.
As you can see, I got my hair trimmed. It was getting way too long. Anyway, I wanted to pop on here and talk about this stupid subject about people telling me on YouTube to get a job.
It bothers him so much that people are telling him to get a job. You're perfectly capable of working a job and getting a job. Like, I'll get into that more in a minute, but it's like there are people in this world who are like way worse off than you who still work, you know? There's no excuse as to why you can't.
I'm getting sick and tired of people seeing me, Dustin, go get a job, go get a job, go get...
Oh, and this video is age restricted, so maybe he'll go off again and start yelling. Let's hope.
Job. I already have one. It's none of anyone's damn business what it is.
Which you've already told us, though. It's basically being a caretaker for your parents, which is perfectly fine and reasonable and honorable even. You know, that's a, you know, good thing to do. But it doesn't actually earn you an income or anything like that, so, you know. And I would hope that, you know, just helping out your parents sometimes and whatnot you wouldn't consider to be like a job. It's just kind of a good thing to do. It's kind of the right thing to do, you know. Unless, of course, you know, you're someone who has parents who treated you like shit, in which case I don't blame that kind of, you know, mentality towards it. But I mean, like, if you've had, you know, parents that are like pretty awesome and whatnot, it's not really right, in my opinion, to call it a job. It's just, again, something that you should just do, you know?
Anyways, I get sick and tired of people telling me to get a job. Would you idiot YouTubers who watch me on YouTube like it if I told you to get a job?
I wouldn't care because I have a job, and even if I didn't have a job, I'd probably be looking for a job because I don't want to be someone who just leeches off of other people or the government and whatnot when I'm fully capable of working. I wouldn't care. I've got a job. Everyone who's responded to you has some sort of job, or at least something going on outside of this bullshit. I wouldn't fucking care. You're like older than I am. You're like, I think you're in your early 30s, I think. You're like at least 7, 8 years older than I am. I don't give a shit.
Told you to get any jobs? No. I bet you wouldn't like that, would you?
I wouldn't care. I've got a job. You get a job.
Hate it when people say, get a job, you loser. Get a job, you loser. I am not a loser.
Get a job. Get a job. It's nice. You get money.
People who say to me to get a job are the ones who are losers.
Yeah, people who tell you to get a job are losers. The people who have jobs, who have lives, who have hobbies, who have friends and family, who have significant others, you know, have lives. Even some of them even have places of their own. Yeah, what losers? Certainly not the person who goes on YouTube and says that certain groups of people shouldn't have employment just because you personally don't like, you know, what they do in their own personal life. No, not you. You're not the loser.
Probably don't have jobs themselves.
No, most of the people who are telling you to get a job have jobs themselves, or again, at the very least, they have like projects that they're working on outside of all this bullshit. They've got like something going on.
They probably live with their moms and dads.
I don't, but even if I did, you know, even if I, you know, when I made my previous videos, I was still living, you know, at, you know, my mom's and my stepdad's house. But even during then, I was working, I was paying rent, I was helping out around the house. I mean, there's really no shame in especially in this day and age. In my opinion, there's no real shame in living with your parents. You know, as long as you're actually contributing something, as long as you're actually helping out, doing your part, you know, working, maybe paying some rent to help out as well. As long as you're doing something, contributing something, you know. Like, even I have to admit, like, you know, sometimes, you know, trying to get a place for a decent price and whatnot is sometimes difficult, you know, so. But someone like you who really doesn't do much and lives with your parents, it's you know, kind of sad.
And don't have jobs of their own, and
It's pure projection right now.
they don't have jobs of their own, and what do? They get on the internet and bully people on the internet. And
We're not bullying you. No one's bullying you. We're giving you criticism, which you obviously are not used to whatsoever because you never got it in your life at all. And maybe when you did, you threw a big hissy fit, like you've done online many times at this point. No one's bullying you. They're responding to your bad videos with your bad takes. Your bad takes about, you know, gay people and, you know, trans people and so on and so forth.
tell them to
The way that you argue your ideas and opinions and whatnot.
get jobs. For example, people bully me on the internet, tell me to get a job. It's none of anyone's business if I have a job or don't have one.
Well, you kind of made it people's business. Like, if you didn't, you could have just ignored it and moved on, but you kind of chose to feed, you know, everything and whatnot. So that's kind of on you. Yeah, and I'm waiting for him to bring up his autism. You know, I'm almost positive he's going to bring it up at least once.
Okay? If I don't have one, I don't need one. And here's why.
If you don't have one, you don't need one. That should be obvious why that statement is fucking stupid.
Because Joe Biden, our dumbass president, in the words of Jericho Green, Mr. Hey, this isn't the mall. Joe Biden takes jobs away from people. Okay?
What? You didn't have a job under Trump, and you still don't have a job under Biden. What was your excuse when Trump was president? Biden takes... No, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not a fan of Biden. I mean, fuck Joe Biden. I mean, that might be like the one thing that, you and I can agree on, but I mean, probably for different reasons. But he takes jobs. That's the most pathetic excuse ever. Like, you could get a job under Biden. You could get a job no matter what. Unless we're going under like a really, really bad depression, then, which, I mean, is a possibility, but,
Okay? And it's no wonder people can't get any jobs. And people who already have jobs are getting laid off.
I mean, the place that I work at, I've been seeing a lot of new people coming in. So I mean, at least where I'm at, jobs seem to be readily available. I mean, maybe where he's living, maybe the economy is shit. So maybe, but again, it sounds just like a shitty excuse.
So telling people to get a job is kind of stupid and pointless.
I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of like grocery stores and food chains that need people to hire and whatnot. You could be a bagger. It's something,
Telling people like me to get a job is stupid and pointless. I don't care how many times you asshole YouTubers on the internet say to me to get a job when I already have one that's taking care of my parents. Taking care of your parents is considered a job.
I mean, not really. It's just kind of, again, it's something that you... I mean, again, I understand if, like, again, people have not had good experiences with their parents, if their parents just in general are not good parents, but just bad people. But then they, like, have no one else, and then you kind of you don't have to, but, like, you feel obligated to. I can kind of see it then, but otherwise, like, I don't know, like, to me, like, just him saying that it's a job to take care of his parents is a little shitty to me. Like, am I the only one who thinks that? It just seems a little shitty to say that.
Babysitting
And it's not a job.
considered a job.
I mean, babysitting can be considered a job if you're, like, if you're getting, like, paid for it or something, but, like,
My mom and dad pay me when I help them out around there.
So they pay you for chores. I mean, maybe that's a job when you're, like, 8, 9, 10 years old, but, I mean...
On their place. They pay me like 5s, 10s, 20s, you name it. A job is a job. It don't matter.
Oh. So again, they give you allowance. They give you allowance for certain chores around the house and whatnot. I mean, cool, but what are you gonna do when they're not around anymore?
Well, there are idiots out there who say that drawing cartoons is not a regular job. Let me ask you this.
Well, it's certainly not a regular job. It can be a job. It can be a career if you are able to get enough, recognition, and you can definitely be successful with it and whatnot. Even if you're not, like, hugely successful, you can still get some moderation of success and whatnot. But I mean, until you actually something starts coming of it, it's more just like a hobby than it is a job, like an actual job. Um, oh yeah, and then kind of side note, something I didn't know. Dustin apparently wrote a book. I think it's called Dustin and Darling. I didn't even know, but if you go back like to his old video, like his oldest videos, like the second or third video, like I guess this guy was on the news actually at one point. So hey, more power to you. You know, I mean, cool. Like, but
In drawing cartoons, like comic strips and whatnot, if those are not jobs, how do you explain how the
I don't think anyone, or at least no one that I know of, has said that that's not a job. Well, okay, like that's kind of a contradiction. Like again, it can be an occupation. It can, like I said, it can be a career. At that point, it's not really so much a job. I mean, it is, but it's more if someone gets big with their comic strips and whatnot, comic drawings, people who draw comics for like comic books and stuff like that, manga. Then it becomes more of like a career and whatnot, like an actual career. Um, and I would imagine for most people like that, they're doing something that they actually want to be doing, and so on and so forth. But it's kind of a 1 in a million shot. You have to work pretty damn hard. I would think to actually get that level of recognition and whatnot. And again, until something really substantial starts coming out of it, it's kind of again just more of a hobby it's more of a hobby that's kind of aspiring to be a job or a career, but and you obviously have not reached that point.
cartoons got into newspapers? Huh? How do you explain why Garfield got into newspapers and Beetle Bailey got into newspapers?
Well, I mean, those guys obviously made careers out of it. You know, they were successful with it. I mean, as far as I know, I don't think you've had near that level of success. Not saying that you couldn't. I'm just saying, like, if you did, that you wouldn't be wasting your time with this bullshit.
And Dagwood and Blondie and the Family Circus characters and, Marmaduke and the rest of the characters in newspapers. How do you think they got in there? Because of hard work.
Right, which you have to do yourself in order to actually get to that level of success and whatnot. And I don't think that you're actually putting that same level of hard work into that. You know.
So anyways, my point being is, it's not nice to tell people to get a job.
Oh, it's not nice, is it? It's not nice. Is it nice to tell people, again, is it nice to tell gay people that they're going to burn and suffer for eternity just because you personally don't like what, again, what they do in their personal life, who they are as a person, and so on and so forth, that they shouldn't be able to, at the very least, if a gay person wants to, has dreams of being, on the national stage in terms of like sports and whatnot. If there's a gay person who wants to be in the WWE one day, who wants to be a professional wrestler, and you would deny them that because you don't personally agree with whatever that they do in their own personal life, again, who they choose to love and so on and so forth, something that doesn't affect you in any way other than it affects your little sensibilities, you want to talk about not nice. And I believe at one point you even went as far as to say, if you were in charge, you would deny, people who fall under the LGBT. You would deny all people who fall under that employment in general. Not nice. Yeah, tell me about not nice. Boo fucking who?
People can get a job whenever they feel like getting one, okay? Here in the Biden era, now's not a good time to get a job.
It's not an excuse. It's not an excuse. I left my job in Indiana. I got a job under Biden while Biden is president. I did it. You can get a job. It doesn't matter whether Trump's president, Biden's president, Obama's president, Bush is president, whoever. You're perfectly capable of getting a job.
when Trump was president, people got jobs.
And you didn't have a job even then, so what's your excuse?
People applied for jobs back when Trump was president. Okay.
Again, you didn't have a job, so what's your excuse?
Okay. Back when Trump was president, people got paid.
What are you talking about? People get paid now. You don't know what you're talking about at all right now.
But now,
Now, yes, I will say the Biden economy is obviously worse than the economy. I'm not going to get into that. I don't want to get that into it.
well,
But
that Biden's president, people are not getting paid much at their jobs, or whatever jobs they have.
you don't have any way of actually knowing that. Yeah, it's just excuses at this point.
So, anyways, I know I hate repeating myself, but still, it's not nice to tell people on the internet to get a job.
It's not nice to say a lot of the things that you've said online. Like, if you want to get right down to it, which I've already pointed out, but, like, you've said that you won't be friends with people who, like, think differently than you, pretty much. Like, if they don't believe in God, if they're not religious, if they're gay or trans or bisexual or whatever, if they're anything, you know, if they don't align with you, you don't want to be friends with them. And that's not a very nice thing to say, you know. You don't hate people who fall under the LGBT acronym. You just, you know, you just would deny them employment. You won't be friends with anyone who is. You'll deny them employment, or at the very least deny them the opportunity to be something like a pro wrestler or some, you know, major sports player and whatnot. Again, based on your own personal feelings, not on any actual fact or facts at all.
It's not. It's stupid. What if I already have a job, you know, like I said?
I mean, you don't. You've admitted that you don't. I mean, your job is taking care of your parents, which, again, it doesn't count.
I already have a job. It's called taking care of my parents. And yes, I do have a confession to make. Yes, I do live with my mom and dad. No, I don't have a real job yet.
Well, thank you for confirming what all of us already knew.
And I don't want one yet.
All right, well then you should probably think about getting one soon.
And no, my diploma is not photoshopped. It is real.
I don't know anything about this diploma thing. It's like a new thing. I haven't really kept up with it, but like, yeah, I don't know whether I don't know. That's funny though. It's funny. Some good trolling. Then again, he's pretty. I mean, this guy can be trolled like into almost anything. But still.
You want to know why I lied by saying I already have a job and no, I don't live with my parents? Because I wanted people to leave. People who bully me on the internet to leave me alone.
I mean, you could just stop poking the hornet's nest. You could just stop making videos about this topic. You could just ignore it. There's a number of things. Close the computer, laptop, phone, whatever for a bit. Get away. There's a number of things you can do. You don't have to talk about this stuff, but you choose to.
And that's what hit me. Lying gets me nowhere. So anyways, yes, it's true. I do live with my mom and dad. My mom, dad, and I are a poor family.
Okay, well, no one's even really attacking you based on that alone. Like, if you live with your parents, fine, whatever. Like, the reason people are criticizing you is because you don't really put any, you know, you sit on this pedestal and you preach and whatnot, but you don't really live like your own, the things that you actually preach and so on and so forth. You don't you sit online and do all this bullshit when you're perfectly capable of getting out and actually doing something more aside from this shit and getting a job and so on and so forth. And again, just for your commentary on multiple subjects, that it's just abysmal.
My dad is retired because of his bad back.
Again, no one's going after you for that.
My mom has a job. She works at a factory. She's a janitor there. She cleans. Me, I'm still searching for a job, a real one.
Oh, it's up to us to believe that you're actually searching for one, but
I don't know what real job to pick.
I mean, it doesn't matter which job it is. I mean, a job is a job. It's, I mean, even if you are cleaning at a hospital or something, it's still a job. You're doing something. You're contributing something.
The other job I'm retired from is writing comic books because my publisher stole the rights to my characters and I can't get them back. I don't want to create newer characters because if I do create newer characters...
Well, I mean, from what I saw, the characters that you created are pretty similar to like a lot of other comics that are out there and whatnot. If I remember correctly, again, I think it's called Dustin and Darling, and I think it's basically, it sounds like just a self-insert of yourself, and then like I'm guessing the Darling or Darling is a dog or whatever. I mean, it's kind of been done before. Now, again, I mean, maybe that could be entirely true. The publisher or whatever stole his comics or his characters. I mean, that could be true. I would say they probably dropped him because he wasn't, coming up with any fresh new ideas and whatnot. But that, again, that's just theory. That's speculation.
Characters don't get stolen just like my old ones did.
And I don't think that your characters would be stolen because, again, it's kind of a dime a dozen.
So, you can stop telling me to get a job because if I want to be retired, I want to be retired.
Retired at, 32, 33 years old, when, again, you're fully capable. And that's the other thing that I wanted to get into. Like, back when I worked, where I worked in Indiana, I'm not going to say, like, where if I haven't already, though I'm sure people who are friends with me on Facebook can see where it was. There were several people. There was this one guy who had brain damage. It's very obvious that he was kind of off and whatnot. But he worked, I think he worked full time too, with brain damage. There are people who have all sorts of like mental illnesses and whatnot who still work. There's a lot of people who have really bad mental illness that actually causes them to not be able to work because it's so bad, and they wish they could work. It depresses them because they can't work. People who have like really, really severe cases of like schizophrenia and whatnot, like those people like that wish they could work, but they can't because their mental illness is so severe and it keeps them from working. You don't have an excuse like that. And that's really why a lot of people are criticizing you for the job thing, because you're fully capable of working a job, but you don't. You choose to, leech off of your parents and whatnot. That's really where a lot of people are coming from. Which, oddly enough, it wouldn't be viewed favorably, among most circles anyways, but, like, you claim to be right-wing, right? I'm pretty sure that sort of a thing would not be viewed favorably by a lot of people consider themselves to be right-wing at all. And again, like I said, it wouldn't be viewed favorably by anyone, but, usually people like that, you see, it's usually a lot of the more, like, really, really, really far leftist types, who are perfectly fine with just, not contributing anything and just sponging off the government and so on and so forth.
Regular job wise, let me tell you something about regular jobs. Regular jobs suck. Okay? Bosses are jerk.
I mean, life sucks. Life is hard, life is shit sometimes, but it is what it is.
Bosses are assholes. All they care.
Not all of them. There's some. I've had the fortune. I've been fortunate enough to have some pretty cool ass bosses, and in my time. And I've made friends with coworkers too. I mean, that's kind of another sort of good thing about jobs in a way, is that you can actually make some pretty good friends along the way. Which is one of the things that I've gotten out of the jobs that I've worked.
About his money and not their employees. Okay? All they care about are money and not their employees. They don't give their employees any time off. Like, let's say if you work for Vince McMahon in WWE, that old bastard will not give you any time off.
Well, I mean, I've watched interviews with several wrestlers and whatnot, and I mean, there's different people say different things, but I mean, that's a pretty, talking about jobs and then bringing up the WWE and Vince McMahon is a pretty big stretch. No one's expecting you to get a job with Vince McMahon in WWE, and you wouldn't ever anyways, but those guys are on the road like 300 plus days a year. They're sports, they're pro wrestlers on the biggest stage that there is. So of course they're going to be on the road all the time. They're going to be busy all the time. It's not comparable to, say, having a part-time job at somewhere like, say, Walmart or McDonald's or something. That's not even close.
I use anything as an example. A job is a job. It doesn't matter. I know fake wrestling is fake and all, but I don't care. I enjoy it because of the entertainment factor. But my point being...
Well, I mean, technically, yeah, but this is completely off topic, but yeah, but a lot of the bumps that those wrestlers take are very real, and they have to do all sorts of training and whatnot, even to rebound off the fucking ropes they have to train for, even how to fall. Like, if a wrestler does a clothesline, they have to learn how to fall right. If they don't, they could fuck themselves up. So yeah, I mean, this is the idea out there that pro wrestling, which is it's so off topic, I know, but pro wrestling is fake. Well, yeah, but I mean, some parts of it really aren't. It's actually a pretty tough job at times. Because again, all those bumps that they take, being on the road constantly, it's not a job or a career that a lot of people could do. It takes a certain type of person to be able to do that.
Is bosses are jerks.
And not all of them. There are some pretty cool people who,
So there you go. Are you happy that I confessed that I don't have a job?
We already knew that you didn't, but sure.
And I do live with my mom and dad. So what? Those of you who do stupid videos about me, you probably live with your family members too and don't.
I mean, I don't
have jobs either.
I do have a job.
And if that is true, that doesn't give you the right to make fun of me on the internet.
Well, it isn't true, and I'm not making fun of you. I'm giving you criticism.
It's not right.
Because your parents told you were special your whole life and never taught you that you could do any wrong.
To make fun of people who don't have jobs.
I mean, there might be, legitimate reasons as to why some people can't work and can't actually have a job, but I mean, for a lot of people like yourself, it really just comes down to a bunch of excuses and whatnot and laziness, which is one of the main sources of criticism that people are lobbying your way again.
It's not. Why don't you assholes on the internet who made fun of me by telling me to get a job, why don't you go get a hobby?
I do have a hobby. I have several hobbies even outside of this. And I have a job. And I have everything that you're claiming that I don't.
Like, go play your video games or something, or watch a movie here. Spend time with your friends and family instead of wasting your time with an individual like me.
I'll have some really steamy sex with Zach. I know that's something that, Actually, no. I know what your position on that is. Never mind. I'm sorry if I put that image in anyone's head. I apologize. But it was just too good not to bring up because of this douchebag.
Why don't you go pick on somebody else?
Well, stop putting yourself out here for everyone to respond to you and criticize you. You started this back up.
Anyway, this is Dustin signing off. See.
All right, you, Dustin, you work on getting that job. Anyways, that's it. That was not quite the gold mine that I was hoping for, but entertaining to see him flail around and whatnot. Anyways, that's it for this one. Let me know what you guys think as always. Peace, and have a good day.